Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another quick post-fight analysis video from UFC Fight Night last night, or yesterday afternoon, actually. Sarah Moras versus Vanessa Melo. Man, this fight didn't go the way I felt it was going to go. I predicted that Sarah Moras was going to use her pressure style, come in there and bang a little bit with Vanessa Melo, go in there and use her experience. But she actually did the opposite in this fight. And right now, a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of Wmma media, they're giving their thoughts about this fight. I mean, fans of MMA in general, they're giving their thoughts about this fight, and they're not good. They're not good reviews. Like, I honestly was kind of in and out on the fight while I was getting my workout in, during the afternoon. And I was looking at the first round. In the second round, I was kind of, just taking a glance, and I saw the third round fully. And there were times when I was just like, what is Sarah Moras doing? She's not going in there committing like I felt she should have, especially against, a fighter that's a little bit slower and kind of plods along. And, yeah, man, like, I went back and watched it again. Then I found out what everybody was really talking about. I mean, shout out to BJ. He had hit me up. He said he felt like Sarah Moras won. And first time around when I saw it, I did. I felt like she did win the fight. But the way she won it, or could have won it, it definitely wasn't in good fashion. That's why I said when I saw that third round, she kind of let that third round slip. I mean, you throw a lot of jabs out there, which she was doing, like BJ mentioned to me. She was throwing a lot of jabs out there, but you got to really commit to them. And the one thing I know about boxing judges and mixed martial arts judges that I learned over the years is the fact that MMA judges, they tend to score significant strikes, the more powerful, accurate strikes and effective pressure. So if you're walking forward and you land like one or two shots, they're going to give you the round over a fighter that's on the bike that lands like 5 or 6 little pity pat shots, So that fighter, like what Sarah Moras was doing, she lands like 5 or 6 shots that don't really mean anything, and she just continues to move and move and move, out of harm's way. They're not going to give her the round. They're going to give that to Vanessa Melo, and that's what I tended to notice. Like second round, first round I had given Sarah Moras. I felt like she did land a few more shots and was getting off a little bit better, but Vanessa Melo was catching up. But in that second round, Vanessa Melo, she started to time her better. She started to time Sarah Moras when she would stop and try to attack. When she would try to leap in, boom, she would catch her with a good right hand and send her back on her way on her bike. But in that third round, I felt like Sarah Moras was just doing a lot of shadow boxing. There were moments when she would pop the jab off, but if you look at the face, again, the judges look at effective punches, and the blood was coming from Sarah Moras. So Sarah Moras is throwing all these strikes, but Vanessa Melo, she's landing the more strikes. She's landing some very, very good shots because she opened the mouth and the nose of Sarah Moras. While the third round, Sarah Moras is just going in there, pop the jab, and the jab's not even really popping. It's just throwing out there. It's just throwing out there at times, and there's some few times where I was like, okay, that jab is too damn short. Even with I think she threw like a combination. It was just like an air combination. It was like 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, okay, you were nowhere near Vanessa Melo. You can't expect to win the round off of activity like that when you're not even connected on flesh, So I could definitely see how she let that third round go and they gave it to Vanessa Melo. Like, I think one judge had it 30-27. I will say I feel like Vanessa Melo did win the first round. Sarah Moras did win the first round, but from there on, it was just kind of up in the air. Second round, I gave to Melo. Then the third round, it was up for grabs, and they gave it to the fighter that scored the more effective shots. I mean, real quick, first round, Moras started off with this jab circling to the right, jabbing short. Melo was coming forward with the pressure, landing when she could, when she closed that distance, and she would land in combinations. Melo starting to time Moras a little bit more every time she would stop and try to land those shots, and she popped Moras with a good left hook. So the movement that she was using was very excess and very extra. It wasn't really educated that Sarah Moras was doing. Like Sarah Moras bouncing around and just moving on the bike. Eventually somebody's going to time you and they'll know what your game plan is. It's either move straight in. It's move to the side, straight in, move to the side, straight in. You know what I mean? So a fighter that can catch that rhythm, they'll say, okay, whenever they stop off that bike, they're going to leap straight in. They're not really going to jab at an angle. I feel like Sarah Moras, she jabbed a couple of times straight in. Well, she was just jabbing straight in. A couple of times she jabbed at an angle, but even then, Sarah Moras had caught her Vanessa Melo had caught her with like a left hook to the head and then to the body. So I was like, okay, she's getting the rhythm down. This was in the second round. So I just feel like there was just too many moments in there where Sarah Morris was just being way too predictable and jabbing too short. And Vanessa Melo was catching up. But I feel like the activity won her the first round. Second round, like I said, Morris just circling a lot and just jabbing. But Morris was not getting off anything effective. You know, Vanessa Melo was just closing in on her, timing her. Once again, she landed a good right hand over the top. And, yeah, Morris, she tried to dip her head one time with the jab, and Melo countered with the left hook to the body and the left hand up top, and she knocked the mouthpiece out. She knocked the mouthpiece out on Morris. So, you know, the judges look at that. You know, I was wondering why Sarah Morris wasn't really mixing any leg kicks here. Like, when you throw that jab out, it's like a blinder. You know, you throw it out, then land something effective behind it. Like, she was not throwing the two behind it. Like, she would not throw it two. Like, if the jab is short, at least commit to the right hand and then end it with like a leg kick. You know, do something like that. You know, mix it up. But like, the jab was just, it was just short. Like, yeah, you were throwing all these jabs, but it's not gonna really get you around if you're not busting the fighter up. Commit to it. It was almost like she didn't want to commit or get into the power zone of Vanessa Melo. And I mean, Vanessa Melo, yeah, she has power and she can bang a little bit, but she's not really the fighter that's going to set up anything big if you know how to use angles and you know how to clinch, or if you know how to spin out of there. Like, there's a few times I said, okay, Sarah Morris, after the jab, grab her in a clinch, throw some knees, move. You know, you can do it that way. Like, at least fight in spurts. You know, get on the inside, beat the fighter up, and then go back on your bike. At least then the judges can say, okay, she's on the bike, but every time she stops, she's on the attack. You know what I mean? She'll attack, leave. But here she was kind of jabbing short and just staying on the move. And then, like I said, going back to what I said with the third round, just too many short jabs, a couple good jabs here and there that would land, a couple good right hands that would pop. But Vanessa Melo was landing a lot of significant strikes in there too. You know, just cutting her off. Like, she finally started cutting her off towards that end of the mid part of the third round and just started landing some good bangers there. You know, and opened up the nose and the mouth, like I said. But yeah, overall, man, this fight, I'm talking about it a lot here. You know, I'm making the discussion a lot because it's about what not to do. And sometimes what not to do needs to be explained a little bit more. You know what I mean? Especially for fighters, you know, up and coming fighters out there. Like, watch this fight. You need to watch fights like this too to see what not to do whenever it comes to, you know, if you're going to fight like a distance fight, know what judges are looking for. Let me put it that way. So, yeah, overall, it wasn't a very good fight. It wasn't a good fight. It was a lackluster performance from Sarah Morris. Vanessa Melo, she had to rise to the occasion. She needed this win. And after this performance, Sarah Morris could very well be on the chopping block. You know, Liz Carmouche, she was after that Valentina performance, which I feel like Liz Carmouche, you know, she shouldn't have got cut for that fight. But I feel like a performance like that from Sarah Morris, you know, Dana White, he's not going to be happy about that. I'm just being honest. You know, he's not going to be happy about that. But, yeah, like I said, fighters coming up, even fight fans, go back and watch this fight. This will kind of tell you how judges score fights, and this will tell you what not to do in a fight. You know, go back and look at some people who want to really be boxers. They know how to jab and be light on their feet. But this was just kind of like an imitation here. You know, Sarah Morris was just short jab, bike, staying out of harm's way, but never really committed to any big shots. And that's the thing about fighting. You got to be committed. So, yeah, man, that's all I got on this, guys. Like I said, check it out. I think Vanessa Melo just saved her UFC career. You know, she's going to stay in there. But as for Sarah Morris, I don't know. I really don't know. This ain't going to elevate her. This is definitely, you know, probably going to drop her down a few more notches in the bantamweight division. But, yeah, that's all I got, guys. Combo Breaker 99. Make sure y'all subscribe. I'm out. Peace.